Hello my fellow YouTube gardener, welcome back. This is Marcelina at CashewGreens.com. So today in this video we're going to cover on how to grow and care for our Calamondin citrus tree. Alright, before we continue this video, if this is the first time you discover my gardening channel, please consider to subscribe. Also, don't forget, click the bell for notifications so you will be the first to get notified when I upload new video. And if you want to see other videos on lemons, just check the video you see on the top both side corner of the screen at the end of this video. So let's begin and see you in the next page. How many plants have you killed? This is the question that I always ask when a person comes to me and says, Marcelina, I just don't have a green thumb like you do. Every plants I grow in the garden die. Well, there is only one good answer I can give you. Plants will definitely die if you don't give them their basic need. So what are those needs? There are a few basic requirements for growing Calamondin. And understanding these requirements will help us grow the plant successfully. Look at this Calamondin, guys. It is cute. So what are these requirements? Well, the first requirement is sunlight. How much sunlight does Calamondin need? Calamondin needs at least 6 to 8 hours of direct full sun. If sunlight is lacking, this Calamondin or calamansi doesn't produce flower or fruit. So give it more sunshine. Here you go, solve the problem. And if you grow this plant indoor, make sure you place the calamansi or calamondin in areas where it gets sunshine. Rotate your plant every week so the whole entire plant gets the sun. You can also purchase an indoor light and make sure that the lights that you purchase is specific for the plant that you grow indoor, because there's so many different types of lighting based on the plants you grow indoor. And I'm going to link this light below this video, so just check the link and get your lighting from there. The second requirements for growing Calamondin is temperature. Calamondin is a tropical plant that is native to the Philippines and some southern part of Asia, such as China, Indonesia, and Borneo. If you live in cold winter region, you definitely bring the plants inside your home or inside the greenhouse if you have a greenhouse, because this plant won't survive in the winter. It can only tolerate cold for a short period of time when the temperature drops below 55. Lower than that, it kills the plant. So bring your Calamondin inside your home during those winter months. Now, what is the ideal temperature for the Calamondin to grow and thrive? The ideal temperature should be between 70 and 90 degrees warmer. USDA zone 8 to 11. Now, the third requirement is watering. How often do you water your Calamondin, especially if you grow them in the container? I would say water them more often. Water them in spring, also in summer, and especially water them a lot if you see your plants is producing a lot of flower or producing a lot of fruit. So those are the times that you need to water them more often. Now, you water twice a day during summer days. Water them in the morning and then also water them in the late evening. In the winter, you reduce your watering time because in the winter the plant is less active. Now, avoid overwatering with your Calamondin, although citrus love water, but overwatering is not good because it makes the soil to become soggy. So when it is soggy, it makes the root system to turn into rot. So you don't want that to happen. And also, some of the fungus would attack with your plants because the plant is vulnerable in that time. So avoid overwatering. So in order for you to make sure that the plant needs water, check the soil of the soil surface of your citrus. If you see that it is dry to the touch, then that's the time to water them. And also you can observe the leaves of the lemon. If it is wilting, that means that it needs water. Your finger can be handy when you test the water. I use this line. I have two lines that I use to test the water. This line in here, I use it to test my soil if it needs watering. Then this line in here, I use if I cook the rice. So this is a good measurement for me. So what you need, you insert 2 inches. Insert your finger below the soil surface, 2 inches, to make sure that the soil is moist. And if it is moist, then you don't need to water the plant. Another option is to observe the leaves of the plant. If you see the leaves are wilting, then that's the time you water the plant. The next requirements is fertilizer. Now, lemons and Calamondin or any kind of citrus they prepare if you give them the fertilizer that is specific for citrus, like what you see here. And I use this citrus stone and mix it with the soil, and also this marine cuisine. It's a time release fertilizer. I mostly use the time release fertilizer because it stays there a little bit longer and it feeds the plant slower. And if I use the liquid, it is easy to wash out when you water the plants. So I would suggest use the time release fertilizer. Now, as I mentioned in my video, that in the spring you had to give a lot of nitrogen. So as you can see here, this nitrogen with this fertilizer is 10-7-7. So this is the nitrogen that you have to give to your plants. So you increase the nitrogen in the spring because you want them to produce a lot of leaves, because leaves is responsible in manufacturing food and energy. You want that. Then after, in the late spring, you need to decrease the amount of nitrogen. Then you introduce the phosphorus. So the phosphorus should be higher with the nitrogen. So because you want them to continue producing flower and producing fruit. Then in the early fall, so this potassium should be higher than all of this, because you want that potassium, you want the plant to be stronger and get prepared for the harsh weather. I use this citrus stone, so I would recommend to use this product. This is great for the Calamondin and also some of the citrus plant. Now I also want to share with you guys that the pH. It is important to check the pH of your soil when you grow citrus. And as you can see here, I use this rod in here to check my pH of my soil. As you can see, it is 6.5. So the acidity of the soil should be between 5.5 to 6.5. Now, I'm not really going into the how to test your pH soil, because this video is about how to grow and care for your plants. And in my future video, I will be doing the pH, how to test your pH, so you can be successful in growing the Calamondin, because the pH is so important in this soil. If the acidity of the soil, if you grow lemon is different from other plants that they require more acidity into the soil. If the pH in the soil is out of balance, so most of the nutrients, especially the iron, is not available for the plant to absorb that nutrient. So that's why you have problem with your lemon, and I'm going to show you some common problems of the lemon later on this video. The next requirement is soil. Now, lemons prepare a soil that is easy to drain, and also it is rich. And when I say rich in soil, it means that the soil has a natural bacteria and also good air circulation and some nutrients. So that's why it is necessary to add compost to your soil. Now here I use this Mother Earth, and as you can see here, as you can see the texture of the soil. So I use the Mother Earth and also the Happy Frog. I mix this together with some of the media, and I'm going to show you the media. So I prepare this Happy Frog, and if you can get Happy Frog in your area, get it. Get one bag, or you can buy it in Amazon. And also if you live in Elyria, Ohio, so there is a good store in here. They call that Hydro Grow, if I remember, that is the name of this store. So my friend owned that store, and if you can get the Happy Frog from her store, get it, because this is a good soil. So use this soil. The Calamondin will grow in different type of soil, as long that it is not clay, because clay soil, it's hard for the water to drain out. So the water will be settled in the soil, and it makes the root system to rot, or it's hard for the root system to absorb nutrients. So use the soil that it is porous and it's easy to drain. So that's why I prepare the Happy Frog. Mix your potting soil with vermiculite. So in my previous experience of mixing my own soil, I used the perlite, but I realized that the vermiculite is much better, because the vermiculite is it's easy to retain water, so you don't have to water the plants more often, as you can see, and it stays there in the soil. So this is a good mixture to mix your soilless media, and I would recommend to use vermiculite, especially if you grow some plants that needs watering, like lemon, hydrangea, and tomato. So those are plants that needs a lot of water. So use the vermiculite. Use 1 part ratio of vermiculite, 1 part ratio of happy frog or mother earth, and 1 part 1 part of this. So you use this kind of media when you mix your soil, because it was, I mentioned, the vermiculite, it hold moisture and also it retained water, so you reduce the amount of watering, and also it helps the root system to absorb nutrients. So the next requirements is the container. Now, mostly Calamondin is grown in the container, especially if you live in subtropical area, because this Calamondin or any other citrus don't survive in the winter. So that's why they grow it in the containers. It's easy for them to bring inside during the winter season. Now, if you live in area where you have warm temperature, you can grow the Calamondin or citrus in the ground. So when you plant this in the ground, if you live in that region, you have to space the plant. You space the plant, grow them like 6 to 10 inches or 10 feet. I mean 10 feet apart, because you don't want them to compete. You don't want the root to compete to one another in terms of absorbing that nutrients. This is only apply if you live in the warm region, so if you grow them in the ground. But if you live in area where you get winter season, you definitely don't grow this one in the ground because it won't survive. This is zone 8 to 11. So if you are in that zone, then it's okay. But if you are below in that zone, so it's not good to grow this one. Now, the selecting container is a matter of choice. I use the breathable container. I use the crate. This is the crate, and I have video on this on how to build your own crate container. So I use a breathable container or the smart pot. This is the smart pot, and I use all of this because it is breathable. So I grow my hydrangea, and the majority of my plants I use in a breathable container. Now, the purpose of the breathable container, the plant root system can get air, so there is a good air circulation inside. So when you use the pot, so the air can get in, so the root system can breathe. Now, when they can breathe, if they can get enough air, the root will when the root stop growing, then it creates another new roots. So that's why they call that air pruning. So when it is air pruning, because the air get inside the pot, and then the root system can breathe air. If you use a regular container, like a plastic container, this container is not enough for the root to get some air. So that's why it is what you see, that when you grow plants in the container, you see the root that it is tangled and it is round up inside. And because of the air, there is not enough air circulation inside the container. So if you grow your plant in the container, and I will show that to you because I have to transfer my lemon seedling in a container. So if you use a plastic container like this, make sure you create a hole around it, because you want that air to get inside. If the root system is tangled, it is hard for the plant to absorb nutrients. So eventually your plant will die. And then this is the bamboo. I grow it in here. There is a little bit circulation in here. You can see here. So this would be okay. But if there is no hole in this around it, so it would be hard for the root to get some air. So you see all those root system, it's packed. Alright, now if you buy a Calamondin like what you see here, if you get a Calamondin at this size, you can, if you get this in some of the garden center or some other grower, or you get this in our site, Cashier Greens, don't transfer this in a bigger pot. Don't put them in the larger pot because it is too small. It slow down their growth that way. And what you need, just transfer this in a small container. I'm going to show it to you because this is too small. When it is 1-year-old to or 2-year-old, if this plant will grow a little bit taller, then that's the time you transfer them in a 5-gallon container. You want them to grow a little bit bigger, and then the root system has enough space and they can grow and expand. So that's why you put this in a 5-gallon container. A 3-gallon container, it's not enough for the lemon or for the citrus to grow bigger, so you have to keep growing them. That's the reason why I use the crates and then the smart pot, because I don't have to transfer my plant. I'm not worried about the root bound, because the plant is constantly self prone by itself, so they call that air pruning. So I'm going to transfer my Calamondin that I grow from here into this container. So I will grow this one first in here, and then when this lemon gets bigger, I will transfer it to a 5-gallon container. Now you keep repotting your plant. Now, how often do you repot your plant if you grow them in the container? I would say that repot them every 2 years. So we repot them and put another new soil. So I would recommend to use the crate. I know it is ugly, but I build a wooden container and I place my crate in that wooden container, and it looks good in my garden. And I'm going to show you later on this video how we build this wooden container. Okay, so I decided today that I'm going to add the Epsom salt here. So I have here 1 part cow manure, and then 1 part happy frog soilless media, and then 1 part of the vermiculite. Now, so I already put it in here. You can measure your fertilizer. There is a direction in here how much fertilizer you need to give to your plants. So since I only grow a small plant, so I'm just giving this a little bit here of fertilizer, and then I will add the salt, the Epsom salt. So I use this measuring cup. This is very handy. So I use 1 cup of Epsom salt, 1 glass. So I use this glass here, and then I mix that with this soil. So you can create your own soil doing this way. So again, I use this fertilizer, the Marine Cuisine, and it has a 1077. Then I use the citrus tone, and I use the Epsom salt. So let's mix this together. In my other video, I work the fertilizer on the top and work the soil. So this one we will mix it together. So again, use the vermiculite when you mix it with your other media, because the vermiculite helps retain water, it reduces your watering, and also it helps aeration, aeration of the soil, so your root system can breathe easily and also can absorb the nutrients properly. Okay, now it is mixed. Alright, so we're going to transfer this little guy here in this gallon container. So when I do my repotting, I mostly measure my plant before I add soil in the container. So I usually do like that, make sure that I cover this area here with soil. So I put half soil in the container, and make sure you shake the soil so that there is no air pocket in there. Then when I put like that, so that's perfect. As you can see, this container has no good air circulation because of the root. So this is the root bound. As you can see, the root is not pruning itself. It tangled because this container has no good air circulation. So if there is no good air circulation, the root is still going that looking for that air. So if you grow this lemon in a breathable container, there should not be a root bound. It should be prone by itself and then producing more roots. So this is hard for the plant to absorb nutrients because the root system is busy occupying this space trying to find that air. So you just make sure you break the root below and then place it in here and then fill the pot with soil. In the Philippines, I use a lot of carabao manure, and I realized in my other video that I mentioned carabao manure. We don't use carabao manure in here. We use cow manure because we use with that type of fertilizer. So if you use the carabao manure, for those of you who use that fertilizer, make sure you don't put that close to the plant because it contains a lot of nitrogen. It burns your plant. So you have to space the fertilizer like 6 inches up, away from the base of the plant. Alright, so here you go. It's already planted. And some you can also use the sweet peat. Mostly I also use sweet peat. I put around it because it enhances the soil. And I don't, if you are using the compost, you see some people using the compost bark it in here, make sure that it is already in the old age, because if you use the new one, it takes the nutrients away from the soil. Alright, so our last thing to do is water the plant. I grew koi and tilapia in the tank, so I use my water from the tank to water all my plants. Okay, so we're done. We already transfer our Calamondin, and within a year or two, we are going to repot this plant again in a larger container. There are few common problems of Calamondin or other citrus plants, but I'm not going to go all those details. I just give you the one that it is common to the citrus. So as you can see, some of the problem of the citrus is the yellowing of the leaves. Now there are different causes of the yellowing of the leaves. It could be caused by overwatering, or it could be caused of something else. But if you can see, like this eureka, this is my eureka. If you can see that, you can see the yellowing of the leaves, and it has a vein. If you can see vein in it, that means that the plant needs iron. Now you can use the iron that it is specific for the citrus. They call that chelated iron, and I will do a little bit video on that so that you guys can understand the different types of iron to give to your citrus. Then the other problem that I would pay attention for your lemon is this spider mites. Spider mites is terrible, and I have problems here in my greenhouse quite often, and it has so much damage of my plants, not just the Calamondin or citrus, it also damage to my roses. So pay attention of the mites, spider mites. They lay thousands of eggs, and all those babies, they crawling into your plants, and they are very bad in, they are the dangerous, I would say, dangerous sucking pests, because it's the juice of the plants. So when you see it, you can see they are very small, and then when you see that it is curling like this, you have to look at it, and then here you go, you see the webbing of the spider mites. So pay attention of that pest. And also the other one is the scale. So the scale doesn't hurt the lemon. I observed my lemon here. I have a scale last summer, and what you need is to use alcohol. I use alcohol, so I spray the alcohol So you spray the alcohol in a cloth or paper towel or any kind of materials to use. You spray and then rub the leaves or rub the stem where you see the scale. So if you have a lot of scale here, there is no scales. What I did, I sprayed the alcohol, and then it is easy to remove all those scales, you know. Or you can use the horticultural pesticide. And if you guys want natural pesticide or natural specific for plants, just comment below on this video. Write me a comment requesting this natural pesticide that I use here in my garden, and write comments on there and asking this pesticide. I can provide it for you. So this is now my lemon. So there is no scale, and the lemon is doing well. As you can see that the lemon leaves. So that's another problem, the yellowing of the leaves, and also the spider mite and scale. And aphids, mostly my aphids attract to my roses, not to my lemon. So if you have an aphid, so it's easy to control the aphids. If you have, you can just blast with water, you hose them. And also you can use the neem. So apply the neem and make sure that you know how you measure those chemicals, because neem is very some of the plants are sensitive to neem, so you have to test first before you apply it. Make sure you know how to mix the materials. So those are the common problems of the citrus, and there are so many diseases of citrus. I will go into that in my research, because I'm doing research on the different diseases of citrus. So I would cover that later on in the future video. And so that is the kind of problems that you need to pay attention. So pay attention of everything. I always come here in the greenhouse every day. I check the soil, I check the plants. So if I know that the plants is not doing well, so there is something go wrong. It might be the fertilizer. Maybe the fertilizer is not enough for the plant. So you have to tend your plant. So the most important thing that I would suggest you guys is to pay attention to your soil, especially for the citrus. As I mentioned earlier in this video, that the citrus is different than other plants. They are soil acid loving plants, so you need to pay attention of this soil. So if you see something go wrong, check your soil and see if the acidity of the soil is off balance, because the acid is everything. So the pH of the soil is everything, not just only for the citrus, but also for other plants. Some plants don't like acid, but if the soil has too much acid, it also affects the growth of the plant. So soil pH is so crucial when you grow any kind of plants. And I'm going to do that on my study for the future comes, and I will share that with you guys on my next video. And so again, those are the common problems that will attract with your lemon. But if you have any other kind of problems that I don't have it in here in the greenhouse, share with me. So write your comments, what problems you have. Share it with me. Alright, so this is the end of the video for today. I hope this video would help you guys in terms of growing Calamondin, not just the Calamondin, also the citrus. And if you have any question or concern, just comment below this video, or write your comments in my site, cashyourgreens.com. And don't forget to share this video to all your friends. And if you like the video, consider to subscribe, and see you next week. Bye bye.